I am about to show you how local businesses get more foot traffic and sales using a proven marketing system that is built with a strategy designed specifically for local businesses for brick and mortar. Okay, so I'm going to show you one simple marketing strategy that 99% of local owners have never used that is working like crazy to attract real local customers and keep them coming back, sharing their favorite stores and businesses through word of mouth and really growing sales month over month in meaningful ways without spending too much time, money, or energy on things that aren't helping their business grow, without missing out on sales by not keeping up with the trends, and losing foot traffic by not doing the marketing that other business owners are doing, without constantly running from one urgent issue to another and never devoting any time or planning or strategy to actually move their business forward, and without feeling panicked because they don't know what to do or where to find the money to increase marketing and are terrified their business might fail if they don't do something different, and without having to spend hours creating marketing content every day, feeling like it just never looks good as the business down the street, or without feeling stuck or wasting time trying to dissect the latest marketing trends or confusing technology, without feeling like you're being too aggressive about pushing your business on other people, without second guessing yourself about how your marketing looks, without feeling overwhelmed by all the so-called advice and best practices out there about how to grow your sales, without micromanaging hired help or agencies who just don't seem to understand what your business is all about and they don't deliver the look and feel that you want, and without paying for some guaranteed SEO or social media program that ends up being a big waste of time and money and doesn't result in any actual sales. So you can actually have and achieve business goals beyond just trying to juggle money every month to make ends meet, so that you can hire more qualified staff to help you manage the business and the marketing, knowing that they will execute it the way you want it, rather than just keeping a body on the sales floor or the restaurant floor. So you can feel proud that your marketing looks as good as your business, and it won't take hours of your time to keep it looking great. And hearing friends and customers and family say that your website or your social media looks amazing, so you can look at your marketing and feel proud that it looks as good as your business. So you always know what type of marketing is going to work and that it won't take hours of your time to keep it looking great, so that you can actually go home and eat dinner with your family every night, knowing you won't spend hours after the kids go to bed stressing about how to find new customers. And so you can finally take that trip with your friends that you've been talking about for years and actually sit on the beach with your phone turned off, knowing that your business is doing fine without you for a few days. So if you are a local brick and mortar business owner in any niche, from a curated boutique to a restaurant, yoga studio, or coffee shop, if you're a business who relies on customers walking through your door and you're becoming increasingly frustrated that everything you're doing with your marketing is not working, feeling panicked because everything you thought you knew about bringing in customers seems to have completely changed, if you've been successful in the past, but those tried and true tactics seems to have just died all of a sudden, I have lost count of the number of times I've heard this from my clients when I first meet them. Like, you know how to run your business, but you literally hate marketing it. What they usually mean when they say this is that they hate what they think it means to market their business. It usually means they hate the idea of promoting themselves. I've heard it all. Things like, I don't want my customers to feel like they're being sold to all the time. I don't know how to translate what makes my business great to people who don't know me. I don't want to be the face of my business. That's a big one. I hear that all the time. I don't understand how to do this. It's also overwhelming. I think I have to be an in-your-face salesperson to be successful, and I just can't do that. I love the work that I do. Why do I have to do all of this marketing to actually be able to run my business, right? Or I hear from them like, it feels hard, it feels sleazy, it feels fake to push the business to new customers. If marketing is dead last on your to-do list, but you should be doing it because your business isn't what it could be, you need to know how to run the merchandising or the business side of the business, but you have no idea what the trick is to actually getting new customers in. Or I talk to people who feel embarrassed about the way that their website or social media looks, and they're constantly just second guessing their marketing. They feel like they've tried every single possible marketing tactic and social media platform, but never see any sales. If you're constantly worrying about falling behind your competitors in your area who seem to spend all day and night working on super complicated social media posts, right? We don't have that kind of time. So we need a better system to make your marketing work for your business without wasting precious resources. If you're feeling incompetent and overwhelmed when it comes to marketing, but having also to constantly babysit the employees or the agency that you hired because you feel like otherwise it just doesn't look like your business and it never generates any sales, it's not your fault, right? And it's also not the employees or the agency's fault either. Most of the so-called knowledge about marketing is based on high-level ideas that work to do, something like grow your likes or your followers, what I call vanity metrics, but they aren't based on the specific strategies that a brick and mortar business needs in order to actually see real sales. So if you have ever tried hiring a high-cost agency or sales staff to run your marketing and never saw an increase in sales, or you've paid for some so-called guaranteed sales program you found on the internet, or if you've spent hours every week trying to come up with new ideas of what to do to bring more business into your store, or hours and hours researching marketing tactics and trying to implement them yourself, if you've spent time going down the rabbit hole of trying to learn how to market your business on your own, only to feel like everyone has a different set of confusing information and not a single one has helped you grow your business, if you've been desperate enough to ask your friends or your family members to help you run your social media or your email campaign, if you feel like the only way to get customers into your business is to offer them a discount and give away your precious margins just to make a buck, this is how my clients, who are brick and mortar businesses, have increased their in-store sales by using an automated marketing strategy and without spending hours and hours creating content or wasting money on promises from ad agencies or marketing that doesn't work. So let's get into the how. But first things first, I'm going to show you some really important information and the exact system I use to increase sales for my clients. And also, if you stay until the end, I'm going to give you a free bonus training. All you have to do is watch this training through to the end, and I'm going to send you a free proven template with some additional training that you can use to get feet in the door of your business without offering discounts, spending money on ads, or wasting tons of time posting constantly. So included in this template is the exact method I use with every client of mine to make sure their marketing is easy to implement and is specifically designed so that you can build your marketing once and it will keep getting results again and again and again. And this is how I make sure that my clients' marketing is a completely seamless experience, from their in-store experience to social media to everywhere else that they're doing any marketing. So, first-time customers become repeat buyers and their marketing kind of snowballs into more and more and more in-store foot traffic over time. And now I'd like to talk for a minute about how this marketing system works because I want to make sure you're getting real value out of this webinar. Seriously. If you take nothing else away from watching this, I want you to pay attention to these next few slides. And then when you get my free marketing template at the end, you'll already be far, far ahead of most of the local business owners who are your competition. So let me tell you a story. This is how I went from a broke store owner myself to making millions for myself and my clients in just a few years. And I did it all using a simple automated marketing playbook that any local business owner can use. But before we get into this, here's a bit of background on me and how I developed this system and how I have proven that it works for any local business. I've been in the apparel business for nearly 20 years. So first as a designer, then as a business owner, and now as the owner of a marketing agency exclusively working with independently locally owned businesses. I had to find a way to stop wasting my time and money on marketing that was built for bigger businesses or e-commerce, and I needed to generate sales using a strategy that would actually get results for a local store. The problem for me, and for every local store owner, right, trying to market their business so they actually get sales, is that virtually everything we've ever heard or learned about online marketing is not designed for a local business. So likes and followers are not what is going to move the needle and help you find new customers and sell more inventory, right? A perfect trending reel, it's going to always do more for Meta than it does to our bottom line as a local business. Creating an event and posting it on Facebook and hoping customers show up to you might get a couple likes and no foot traffic. So paying someone to get you a guaranteed foot traffic using SEO, like that's one of the newest, trendiest tricks in the book. It sounds good in the sales pitch, right? And that works about 1% of the time for a local business owner. So there are a lot of lies out there about the right way to market a local business. And 99% of the so-called experts advertising all of these so-called guarantees don't give a hoot whether they bring in any sales for us as a local business or not. They're just going to throw some complicated jargon our way, talk about some KPIs that have nothing to do with bringing in customers, and leave us feeling even more confused and lost than we were before we tried whatever it is that they're promoting. So the issue is this. There is a huge gap between methods that used to work for brick and mortar business, like word of mouth, having people talk about your business, and being successful in actually transforming those old strategies so that they work in our digital world to help customers find us using the platforms that they're spending all their time on. Consumers are still just as interested in local brands. They're just looking for them in a different place, instead of like at the news board in the local coffee shop or networking events or things like that. 9 times out of 10, these days, a potential customer finds our business first using something like Instagram or Facebook, where even just a few years ago, they would have used a phone book or a Google search to find us. So the important thing to understand here is twofold. Customers are not only behaving differently, moving a lot of their behaviors online, when just a few years ago they were more likely to physically go out and find new businesses and compare what they were selling. And this is compounded because customers' news feeds and inboxes are literally flooded with a sea of content, and they are interacting less and less with any of it. So making sure they can find you and that your business stands out is just getting harder and harder and harder. And so this sounds really scary, and honestly it is, but I do have a way to fix it. So to get the same type of attention and foot traffic as you used to get through word of mouth, for example, we need to make sure that you have a marketing strategy specifically built to get foot traffic and attention using these digital channels so that your marketing actually gets your customers' attention online. So to make sure that you actually get sales, it's really important that we understand consumer behavior and meet them where they are. And the biggest lie that you will hear again and again and again is that you just need to crack, XYZ algorithm or pay $1,000 a month in ads and like it will bring you sales, right? Like this is not about, some shiny object that is going to magically fix your business, right? Like this is about marketing strategy and consumer relationships and making sure that your business actually stands out to real customers. So the system I'm going to teach you gives you the ins and outs of a real proven brick and mortar marketing strategy that actually generates sales using less of your time than you thought possible, and without having to post constantly, spend more than 1 hour a week creating any sort of marketing content, spend money on boosting posts, paying for SEO, running ads, putting any effort into keeping up with trending content, or trying to hack the algorithms across multiple platforms. But first, I want to explain why everything you've been told to do to market your business is making it worse. So how did I create this system that you are not going to see any other marketing firm using to build business for local store owners? I started out by analyzing hundreds of hours of other experts' so-called strategies and marketing frameworks. I read at least 4 dozen books and white papers on marketing for small business, and I realized that there was a specific group of business owners who were being left out when strategies centered around just driving more followers and likes and traffic to websites and tracking links. So you see, brick and mortar, we are centered on the ability for our consumers to experience what we are selling in person. We are providing a tangible interaction between buyer and seller. And traditional retail brings several unique experiences that e-commerce can't replicate, right? So it's like the tactile sensation of touching and feeling products, or tasting the first sip of that latte. The instant joy of walking out with a purchase rather than waiting for it to be delivered. The assurance of trying before buying, the possibility of immediate in-person assistance. Those are just some of the reasons why people are still drawn to physical shops. So shopping or dining is not just a transaction, but it's a social experience. It's an outing with friends or family, which a local business caters to perfectly. But here's what I really want you to understand about marketing and retail versus e-commerce. So this is the reason why brick and mortar marketing is different. Most store owners are working with marketing firms or learning from programs or taking advice that is built for an online business. Here's the reality. A brick and mortar business can't operate their marketing as if they're an online business. That's like trying to get a second business up and running when we still haven't optimized the first business. So think about how much time you've already spent to create your brick and mortar location and fill it with products. You're never going to pay the rent with an e-commerce business. It's a totally different business model and set of expenses. One day adding a website on to your business and using it to drive sales both into your store as well as online, that can be a really great tool to increase your growth once you have reached that level. But it should not be how we plan to grow your business when you don't have your marketing optimized yet. We really need a different system to drive foot traffic into your physical location. And this is much more powerful and it's much more sustainable than trying to convince people to buy from your business online. I have hundreds of examples of business owners I've worked with who had the idea that they had to get online sales or put their product catalog on Instagram or on DoorDash. Like they're posting and posting, or like they paid a company to get them more followers, or they're spending $500 a month on SEO for their website, and it resulted in exactly 0 sales. So let's recap. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, if you're trying to wing it, producing your own content, or even hiring help without the right system in place, it's never going to get you any meaningful business growth, no matter what type of marketing you're doing. Things like Instagram trends and SEO, they are a tactic, not a strategy, designed to make money for Google or Meta, not a local business. So if you're trying to grow your business by following all of the standard advice, just trying to feed the algorithm, you're never going to get off the hamster wheel. And you may not hear it from other agencies or business owners or influencers, right? But as small business owners, we are fighting an uphill battle against big brands, big tech, big agencies, all of which are out to make money for themselves, and they don't care about small business. And every day, more of our customers are going online instead of walking down the street. So we can't afford to waste time and money not using a system that takes our relationship with them into the online space where our customers are at now. So to increase our sales against all those forces working against us, we need a strategy that is built to give small local business owners a leg up. Without that, we are just like this hamster. We're running in circles, constantly chasing a target that never seems to get any closer. So how am I so certain of this? Not only have I personally owned a local store, I have been marketing exclusively for small business owners for the past 15 years. So I've developed a system specifically for local store owners that they can just plug into their business and get more foot traffic and in-store sales. When I build this for a client, 100% of the time we see their sales increase. I'm going to pause and let that sink in. I know it's a huge claim, but it is the truth. I have never built this for a business and not seen sales increase. For most of them, they see a minimum 50 to 60% increase in the first 6 months. For some of them, they've seen as much as a 3 times revenue increase in their first year. And that's exactly what we're going to do on this training today. So I'm going to give you the exact system I used to build marketing strategy for local store owners that has a 100% success rate at increasing their sales. And you will then have my exact templates to plug it into your business. So let's get into it. All right. So in this analogy, this is your business, okay? Everything above ground is what we see, and it's what most business owners focus on when they're thinking about marketing. But everything on this apple tree is a symptom. The root cause of the reason that you are not getting enough sales with your marketing is what we have to fix first. If you are just trying to fix the symptoms, this is where I talk to a business owner and they're always in shiny object syndrome. So, trying to fix a symptom, something like thinking that increasing your followers on Instagram will magically bring customers, that's a total waste of time if we don't know the root cause of why Instagram isn't working. Things like Instagram, TikTok, SEO, billboards, email, having a new website, launching a new print ad, buying a radio spot. Every single one of those are just shiny objects that you're using to try to treat the symptoms. More sales are not going to magically happen when you are grasping at all those shiny objects until you actually understand the root cause for why your marketing hasn't been getting you sales. So there is a marketing strategy that will help you grow your business without wasting hours and hours creating content that just blends in, without putting out content that gets 0 engagement, and without spending money on paying someone to run paid ads or do SEO or boosting posts and getting no sales for the money that you're spending. So here's how marketing for local businesses works. Here's how you treat the root cause. And there is an easy way and there's a hard way. I discovered this method the hard way. You get to use all my experience and get the easy way. So one of the biggest challenges I hear from my clients is that they struggle knowing what, where, and how to post. And so then they go out and they copy something, or they try to hack into a trending reel, or, insert, thing that they're just trying to do here, or worse, they're not posting anything at all. And the root cause of this is actually not having a strategy for how social media fits into your business so that it actually drives sales. Why would we ever waste our time and money on something without knowing how it's affecting our sales? So the right marketing system makes it not just easy, but effective to actually use social media as a foot traffic driver and not just something that keeps us in endless loops of struggling with coming up with ideas and getting them posted. The second hard thing I see almost all store owners doing is thinking that marketing their products or services is what's going to bring in sales. So they think that, maybe buying a new ad or boosting a post and talking about products is going to be the thing that works. not only does thinking about endless ways to talk about our products or services make us crazy, it does not make us sales. The root cause is the only way to stand out as a small business owner is to focus on our relationship to our customer. Our products and services are completely secondary to that relationship. Think about it this way. If your business were a house, the relationship with your customers would be the foundation, the walls, and the systems that make that house livable. Your products are the furnishings and the decor. So we wouldn't furnish an empty lot. Don't do that to your business by asking your products to stand on their own without thinking about the experience a customer gets when they shop in your store. That's how we have to think about marketing. Here's another one. I see this a lot. People thinking that they have to be on every platform in order to actually be successful. So they're trying to hack the algorithm, or they're trying to get more followers, or they're, trying to literally have their business on every single listing online that they can possibly find. And honestly, there's no quicker path to burnout than when we try to do everything at once, hoping something will work. And the root cause of this is not knowing what actually does work to bring in sales. Because likes and comments, or even going viral, is not a strategy that drives foot traffic. So one of the biggest and absolute most painful symptoms I see is when a business owner thinks that hiring out their marketing is going to magically bring in sales. And if you've ever been told that you have to pay for influencers, or you've hired an agency, or you've had someone do SEO or build you a website, or that you need to pay to boost your content, you're grasping at one of the worst shiny objects possible. We may as well do this if we're spending money on marketing and we don't have a system and a strategy already in place. So the root cause of this is that we have to understand exactly what works to bring in customers before we delegate our marketing. The reality is that hiring someone to run our marketing is not going to get any results unless we know exactly what we want them to do and what business goals their work is tied to. So whether it was a salesperson who told you that they were an influencer, right? Or even a high-ticket agency, sometimes they have no idea what your business actually needs. So if you've spent money on marketing and you've seen zero results, you're definitely not alone. I have quotes around this, marketing experts, right? They are taught to chase those vanity metrics and appease the algorithms. They're using methods that are outdated, that are made for an e-commerce business, that are designed just to get likes, or all of the above, right? And so a local business needs a marketing system that is actually going to get traffic. We need a different result. So we have got to stop fixing the symptoms, and we have to fix the problem if we want to drive sales. I can predict how successful a business owner will be a year from now with almost 100% accuracy based on the next slide. So, those who are grasping at shiny objects and fixing the symptoms are in the tangle of tactics. And, it's a huge problem right now for store owners who are using digital marketing. They're just trying to figure out how to use Reels or TikTok, or they're putting a lot of money every month into SEO optimization, or they've built a website and they're trying to get online sales, or they're spending a huge amount of time every week just figuring out what the next trending meme is, or they're just flinging an email out to their audience without thinking about whether their messaging is actually going to drive real sales. So the biggest problem is that all of this is just another tactic. Without a strategy in place, we are just throwing away all of the time, money, and energy we're using trying all these things, and it doesn't result in any foot traffic. And the reason why is really important, and it's truly what will separate businesses who struggle from businesses who succeed. The more marketing content you put out that doesn't get any interaction, the more lost your business gets. And customers can't buy from you or even know that you exist if they can't see you because that marketing is getting lost. So the way for your marketing to actually generate sales is to have a proven strategy for local businesses so your brand can actually be seen by real customers. The only way to build that is to work with a real system for brick and mortar. And that's exactly what I do. I help you take what used to work, with the phone book or word of mouth, or even the way the Facebook and Instagram algorithms worked, 3 or 4 years ago. And I help you develop a simple and effective system for your specific local business that is going to work to actually attract the attention of real customers using online channels. So hopefully you can see how important it is to get this right. And after over 20 years of working with brick and mortar businesses, I can always tell who will succeed versus who will fail based on whether or not they are trying to solve the symptoms or whether or not they are attacking the root cause and working with a real strategy. If you're just trying to solve the symptoms, you're just pushing harder and harder, getting more tangled up in tactics, and you're never going to move your business forward. Or to simplify everything I just said, I love this quote. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. And if we are obsessed with finding some magic tactic that is going to fix, the symptoms in front of us, like we're just playing whack-a-mole, treating the symptoms with more and more shiny objects. And we're spiraling into the category of business owners who aren't moving forward. And that kind of thinking will always get us to a place that looks a lot like this, with less money than we started with and no increase in sales. And I know this because I've been in that mindset, and this is exactly where it got me. So obviously, if we're going to succeed as local business owners, we have to have a strategy in place to actually generate real foot traffic. But I want to talk for a moment about something else I myself have been guilty of in the past. And I see store owners doing this way too often. And this can take a business from just sort of struggling to like really in huge debt, in trouble, and they can't hope to come back from. And I see this all the time, especially when sales are in a slump. I talk to business owners all the time that think they should wait to do anything with marketing until they have more money. But this is absolutely the most dangerous mindset I can think of to get into, because the less marketing that we do, the slower our sales will be. The less money we have, the more business is going to suffer. And when sales are slowing down, that is the time that we have to lean into our marketing, especially when it's related to something like inflation or the economy or anything outside of our control, because consumers are still spending, but they aren't going to do it with your business unless we can reach them with marketing, which we can't do if we're not doing marketing. So we are losing more money than we can imagine by not focusing on marketing when we are in those slow periods. And here's the thing, my clients who are using the right marketing system rather than just reaching for more shiny objects, they always get through those slower seasons, making more sales and having more consistent foot traffic than the business owners who aren't using this system. So waiting to fix your marketing until you have more sales just ensures you are falling farther and farther behind, rather than setting yourself up for success and more profit, even in a slow economy. And it's so incredibly common. I talk to so many business owners. They're scared about the state of the economy. They're fighting against inflation or tariffs or the price of eggs. And they're thinking that the way to handle it is to tighten their belt and try to ride it out and hope that it gets better when, like insert XYZ reason here. But here's the thing. Just like using all of those shiny objects to try to treat the symptoms, when we blame the wrong causes, we are seriously harming our business. So those outside forces are not the reason customers aren't buying from you. They might be another symptom. But the business who has the right marketing system isn't going to fall victim to those outside forces. And when we are just hoping that interest rates are going to go down or food prices are going to go back to normal or anything like that, we are blaming outside forces rather than fixing the root cause of the reason our business is struggling. We cannot afford to sit and wait and hope things go back to normal. Normal as we knew it 5 years or like even 1 or 2 years ago, it's not coming back. Things are changing so fast in today's world, not just in the economy, but with algorithms, with consumer behavior as well. We've got to market your business for today. And knowing that it's possible to still bring in customers no matter the outside forces, it's the door to opportunity for your business. Some of today's biggest brick and mortar businesses were launched successfully during a recession, okay? And they outpaced and outlasted their competitors because they were able to do something those competitors didn't do. They marketed their business so consumers just had to have what they were selling. Here's some of the biggest examples, and none of them started with a huge amount of investment. They were just committed to marketing their business using the right system for success. All right, love them or hate them. Amazon was founded by Jeff Bezos as a retail store from his garage in Bellevue, Washington. And he quickly went online, which was unheard of that day, right? But like his ability to entice customers to buy books online when they were used to buying them at local stores or at Barnes & Noble, right? That's how a simple little garage business became the titan it is today. It's because he made his brand stand out and he marketed it right. Everyone is also familiar with this little garage business. Apple's founders focused on the personal experience, and that is what they used in their marketing and still what they use today, which is how they successfully launched an extremely expensive product and created demand during the 1970s recession for something that was seen as a superfluous luxury product by the average consumer. But because of how they marketed it, everyone had to have one. GM started during the 1908 recession. There were 253 U.S. automakers the year that they started it. But Billy Durant was the founder. He thought he could make his company more attractive than those 253 competitors by marketing a wider range of options, pricing, and preferences than they had. I would say that paid off. Trader Joe's, founded in 1958 during a big period of economic uncertainty, and it is one of the most well-known and well-loved grocery stores in our modern era. Warby Parker emerged during the 2008 recession. Airbnb, founded in 2007 when roommates Joe Gebbia and Brian Chesky decided to rent out their loft. So, they created a website, bought an air mattress, and came up with a genius marketing idea to get consumers to pay to sleep on strangers' couches. Okay, that wasn't something that was seen as attractive, and they marketed it right, and they became a titan. So I could go on about so many more marketing success stories, even in tough economies, all day. But I want to get to the real value of this training, which is how to do this for your business. Because business owners, they often have a lot of hope for their business. I hear it from new clients all the time. They're just hoping sales will magically pick up, next month, or they're hoping that putting up a new sign or that learning how to use AI is somehow magically going to fix their business. And they'll have the money to invest in doing it the right way once that thing happens. But, that's still fixing symptoms, right? Like if they're not using a strategy designed specifically to drive real sales and help their business grow, they're just that much more behind when, for example, they're struggling through those outside forces in the economy, like interest rates continuing to stay high or crazy political forces making customers nervous to spend money. And I can say that over the past 15 years of economic ups and downs and looking at different shopping seasons and, all the things that can be an outside force to your business. The stores who don't have a marketing strategy that's built on a solid foundation, they start to slide a little. And then eventually things start to crumble. And if you're not using a system and a strategy to consistently keep bringing in new customers, you're essentially just going backwards month after month, year after year. And every time this happens, you lose a little more money and you feel a little more burnt out and you get desperate and just quickly try to find another shiny object, hoping that this time it's going to be the thing that works. And then, what happens when the economy truly takes a turn and those outside forces are bigger? Your foot traffic really and truly starts to dry up, because knowing how to create a trending reel is not the same as knowing what finds and creates loyal customers. And hoping that we have some sales is not the same as actually knowing how to attract foot traffic and real customers who want to support a local business even when the economy is down. So waiting until later and hoping you'll magically have more money before you start marketing is absolutely the most dangerous thing a business owner can do. So the thing that's so important to understand is that without changing how we're thinking about the structure that is our marketing, we are doomed to just keep throwing resources at something that isn't on solid ground. We don't know how to treat the root cause. Those shiny objects are just going to keep taking more and more of our time, money, and energy. And we still won't know how to attract customers. We won't know how to address changes in the economy, or what to do when the algorithm shift yet again. And, honestly, the best time to start using the right system to actually get your business growing, that was yesterday. But the second best time is today, right now. So you're not losing even more money by not being able to attract real customers and ensuring you have at least some consistent foot traffic coming into your business starting today. The absolute worst time to put it off is tomorrow, because I talk to store owners all the time who wait until they're truly in a desperate situation to think about building a real system and treating that root cause. And it just becomes that much harder when they're struggling against all of the same things that have kept them from seeing their sales increase. And then on top of that, they still have no strategy to keep attracting real customers. So we need to make sure we have that system in place before that happens. So we aren't just relying on hope and shiny objects and falling further and further behind. So here's how we make sure that doesn't happen. So when I work with a business owner using this system, it's not just about sales. It's about the mindset that gets them into consistent sales and true growth. So the story we tell ourselves, the state of mind we are in when we are thinking about our marketing, and our strategy for investing in our business and our future, those are all huge components of success and building a system that ensures we do succeed. So chasing those tactics without strategy, here's another analogy for you. It's like taking a road trip without knowing where we're going or what route we're traveling. Getting lost and frustrated and confused is an inevitability, and we never end up at our destination. But what sets someone apart, those who succeed apart from those who fail, it's very simple. They're all using an automated marketing system that is proven to work for local businesses. A marketing system is like a roadmap to the business of your dreams, and a marketing playbook or strategy is like turn-by-turn directions guiding you to the quickest route to that success.